I am the face of suicide. I am the face of depression, PTSD, and anxieties. I am the face of learning disabilities, traumatic brain injury, and chronic illness. And I am the face of emphysema. But I am also the face of hope, healing, courage, and I am the face of love. So many are going through tough times. So many feel alone and broken and don't know where to turn. I was there, and I have learned how wonderful life can be. And so now I'm here to share that, to encourage, and to let people know that they have what it takes to become even more than what they think they already want to be.
It's good to be alive right about now.
What our society calls a victim of childhood sexual abuse. I say it in that way because I don't see myself as a victim any longer. But it did happen to me. And when it happened, it wasn't just once, it was several times because it was by a family member. I kept it all to myself. I didn't share. I felt like no one would believe me. I felt like how could I tarnish the family? I felt like it was because I deserved some type of punishment. And so I held it in. And that, of course, began so much more of, the snowball effect inside of me. My shame, my guilt, my anger, my everything. I turned towards myself, and I really began to hate myself. But I was a really good actress, and nobody around me knew that. I would think if you would talk to people I went to school with, they would probably tell you she was happy, she was upbeat, nothing was wrong with her, she had a great life. She was a little skinny, but it's all right. She was happy. I did it really well. I hid it really well, I should say. I think I was about 8 years old by the time I had my first suicide plan. My brother had epilepsy, and I always knew I could take his, what at the time was called Depakine. I think it's Depakote now. But I always knew that I could just take that if I had to. And over time, my suicide plan kind of became my best friend in some weird way, because I knew that if things got too bad or too hard, I could take myself out. So it kind of was like a security blanket that I kept. Twice during middle school, I got really close, and both times I had two angels step in and say something to me, totally unaware of what they did for my life, George and Robert. But those years definitely took its toll on me. And it caused me to have PTSD. It caused me to have severe depression. It caused me to have massive anxieties and panic attacks. I became agoraphobic, which is the fear of everything. Not just a little fear here or there, not just a panic. I would sit in my bed and be afraid to leave my sheets because I was so afraid. I was hospitalized for 3 months one time, and it was really probably the best thing ever that happened to me, because it took me out of my environment, and forced me to focus on things. I remember sitting in the psychiatrist's office before they put me in and just saying, I just want to close my eyes and I just want to fall asleep and never wake up ever again. And he said, okay, that's it. You need to go somewhere. So 3 months in my resort, and I started to learn a little bit more about who I really was. Because you see, all that had covered up so much of who I was because I had been an actress for so long, and it just got so crazy making inside of me that I really had just lost who I was too. I don't even know if I lost it, I don't even know if I ever had it. But in that time, it was a huge blessing for me. I, of course, did what so many people do who are abused as kids. I found myself into some alcohol. I found myself into some marijuana, drugs, different things like that while I was really lost. I wandered into a few abusive relationships too because I didn't know my own worth. So, of course, that all played out. But eventually I got the help that I needed, and I conquered all of it. And I got to the other side. A lot of talk when you go through therapy about anything, but especially with sexual abuse and things like that, is they call you a survivor. And it wasn't long into therapy that I recognized I don't want to be a survivor anymore. I want to be a liver. Not like a liver, but like a liver. I want to live. And I kind of embraced that, and I took that with me through my therapies, through my inpatient, outpatient, regular stuff. And then I just found a real joy about things. And so then I decided I was going to go and become a therapist myself. So I got my master's and went beyond that. I have 5 years advanced postgraduate studies with clinical and neuropsychology. I've worked with suicidal adolescents because, well, let's face it, that's what I was, so I recognized it. And it was really rewarding. It was really rewarding. But then I had kids, and life wasn't always easy. I definitely had healed, and I didn't necessarily have the acute issues any longer. And I was able to find a lot of happiness and love. But there was still something in the back of me that kind of was like, this is all still kind of hard sometimes. And I'll never forget the first time that I was met with a crisis and I had let go of the idea of my suicide being my friend, my partner. Because I didn't know what to do. Because before, every time I had a crisis, that was where I could go in my brain, you know, but now I didn't have that any longer. So it was like, well, great, what do I do now? What the hell? You know, I don't have that anymore, and this is horrible. So that was another moment where I kind of had to go back into therapy a little bit and work some more and do some more things. And that also gave me some more tools to move forward. And I found life again, and I was excited again. But this whole time I recognized still there's something in the back of my head that just wasn't quite right. I mean, I was happier, and I was okay with who I am, and I was okay with the fact that I was sexually abused, that I had PTSD, that I'd helped all these people. I was okay with all of that, but still there was this nudging inside me that something was still kind of amiss. And then I had an incredible teacher come my way in the forms of an infection, and it completely rattled my brain and my body. It damaged my right temporal lobe. It damaged parts of my brain stem. It damaged different things, different organ systems, and all kinds of food became neurotoxins in my system. I mean, it was all kinds of stuff. But when it took my brain out, and I literally could not process anything for a good almost year, it forced me to go to a place in my heart because I couldn't think any longer. And so I really was able during this time to go back and look at everything that I had learned and integrate it in my heart. So it really was the missing piece for me. And now because of that infection, I have chronic illness. I have seizure disorder. I have chronic migraines with vestibular migraines with brainstem involvement. I have moments of dizziness. I have all kinds of different chronic issues, pain, exhaustion, muscle fatigue. I have all kinds of just IBS. I'm still dealing with my liver, chronic stuff with that. So I have the chronicness of what happened with that infection that I deal with. And there's so many people out there with chronic illness, so many. We're nicknamed Spoonies. I'll have to tell you about that later if you don't know what that is. But there's so many people out there with chronic illness and they don't know where to turn and they're so lost and in pain and they start thinking they're crazy too because they can't find answers and they don't know what to do. And that's where I was, and I couldn't find an answer to what was going on with me when this was all happening. And I actually went back to my old friend during all of this, and there was a night where I wanted to kill myself, and I wrote about it in the book that I wrote. But see, what happened during that time, because what I've learned is life happens for me, not to me. But when I went back to that moment of suicide, that thought of suicide, the thought of relief, the thought of I just can't take this shit anymore. I can't do this. I'm strong, but I just can't do it. When I went back to that without my brain and did it with my heart, it was a whole different ball game. And so now I've gotten past that and I found myself with chronic illness. And then in all of that, I learned that I have emphysema. And it's a genetic piece of emphysema, I guess. My whole point in all of it is I've had stuff in my past. Then I have current, which is my chronic illness. And trust me, there are days where I am in bed. And there are days where it's really hard. But that's part of the package of chronic illness. We're pretty amazing people. And now I also have emphysema. So now I have the past with all of that stuff. I have the present with chronic illness. And then I have the future with emphysema. I basically watched my mom drown to death, slowly, dying from emphysema. So I have past, I have current, and then I've got future. And I'm not saying it's not ever hard, because it is. But what I'm here to say today is I have gotten myself to a place where I see things so differently now, so differently. I understand, and y'all might think I'm crazy for saying this, but I get it, so I get it. It's all been a gift for me. My sexual abuse was a gift. It actually saved my life the night that I wanted to kill myself from the infection in my brain. My dyslexia is a gift, my agoraphobia was a gift, my chronic illness is a gift, my emphysema is a gift. All of these things I now recognize are gifts, and I know y'all are going to think she's nuts. But it is, it's true. And I am not saying that it's not hard. I'm not saying that there's not days where you want to just throw in the towel. But what I'm saying is there's more. You are more. If you're dealing with any of these issues, you are more than what this issue is. This issue does not define you. Your anxiety does not define you. Your depression does not define you. Your chronic illness does not define you. Your pain does not define you. Your despair does not define you. Your COPD does not define you. Your whatever it is does not define you. You're so much more than that. And there are people in this world that will listen to you. And there are people in this world that want to be a light for you. And so I just want people to understand not to give up. Sometimes we have to go into breaking down. One of the most important things I did in my journey was break down, because that's what we have to do sometimes. The rest is so important. If it wasn't for the rest in between the notes of music, it would all just be sound and noise. It's the rest, it's the breaks that make it melody, make it beautiful. And so what we have to do is we have to just let ourselves be. We have to be okay with the fact that we might be a hot mess. We have to become okay with the fact that I don't know what the hell I'm doing with my life. We have to become okay with the fact that this shit happened to me and this shit sucks and it's okay. That's the first step, is becoming okay. And you can do it. And I'm here to help you all in any way that I can. And there's many out there who can. So know whatever your issue is, your chronic issue of anything, whether it's mental, physical, lifestyle, anything, there is so much more that waits for you. I'm here to share my heart knowing that I learned through all of my stuff. And I'm excited to do it, because I know that there's far too many out there who are feeling like they've lost their way. But what I want to tell you right here, right now, is that's part of your way. You have not lost anything. And that is the moment, or those are the moments that are going to become the most precious to you when you're on the other side. I promise you that. So even if you feel like you've lost your way, just say, it's okay. Today I'm lost. And that's your first step of reconnecting back and finding out how to make it through. You got this, I promise. But the other secret to all of it is there's nothing that I can tell you that you don't already know inside of you. I'm just here to share my story of how I remembered, in hopes that it reminds you of how to become you. Because that's what you're here to do. And all of this that is happening is part of your beautiful journey that is unfolding. Let it unfold. Don't cut it short. Keep it going. Thank you. I'm Tara Patricia. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And if you'd like to find out more about my thoughts and me, you can watch some of my videos here on YouTube. Or you can go to my website, innerpathcoachingservices.com, or follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Come back next Friday so we can talk some more. And that, my friends, was all my faces.
It's good to be alive right about now.